Invite our next speaker, Mr. Dhruv Bashish Bhattacharya. He has held various jobs during his 26-year career, ranging from branch manager to business head. He has had numerous sales, credits, collection, human resources, and administration positions. For last 6 years, he served as an official spokesperson for Magma FinCorp in the media. As a CCCO at Toyota Finance Limited, he oversees the whole credit, operations, and debt service management functions for retail and wholesale products. At Bank of Baroda, he advised on new farm equipments, commercial vehicles, and construction equipments financing efforts. Additionally, he spearheads the bank's whole co-origination effort. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in welcoming Mr. Bhattacharya on the stage.
Thank you, Zenith, for the kind words. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Namaste Tajurba. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great here. I find some of the seats vacant, unfortunately, because people have rushed to, I build wealth with Ajay and Rachana ma'am. Good, that's great. Well, I'll run past a few slides. I know there's a paucity of time. Thank you, Saurav, for kind of breaking the ice for Bank of Baroda. Let me just give a brief on MSME. What do we handle in Bank of Baroda? MSME, as the name suggests, once you step out of this room, your MSME borrower can be the first rickshawala. He's an MSME. The first pawn shop is also MSME. You go and look around the nearby hotel, which has got a turnover less than 250 crores. They are also MSME. So if you see the ambit of the MSME customers, you have a galaxy of customers. You've got a 10,000 rupee loan of a small vendor up to a 200 crore rupees borrowing, an exporter who does a borrowing of a turnover of even more than 700, 800 crores, because majority of the export turnover is actually discounted and they are covered in the MSME. Huge ambit, and there's a huge, I would say, impetus by the government of India on the MSME business. So, role of MSMEs in the Indian economy is very vital because there are 6.3 crores of units. 97% of the total employment in the MSME sector comes from the micro segment. That's very important. The micro segment essentially are the ones which I was naming to start with. Less than a 1 crore loan is essentially termed as a micro segment. And they cover 30% of the GDP, which essentially is still very low compared to the global standards, where actually the contribution to GDP is more than 50% in the developed countries. They act as a tremendous buffer in the buffering economy, because whatever pandemic or any kind of catastrophe which is cast on any country or globally, they are the ones who actually are like a buffer. They are shock absorbers. And of course, they account for the 40% of exports, which of course is in an increasing trend with impetus by the government of India. MSME is a large and growing segment, driver for holistic growth. Key highlights for the MSME banking, if you see, one, market advances. So India MSME market is a 15.3 lakh crores. That's a whopping number. The number is unbelievably at 15.3 lakh crores, but these are the regulatory ones. If you go to the typical what been quoted by the CICs like CIBIL or the other CICs, they quote a number of close to 21 lakh crores. So, and it is growing at a staggering 10 to 12% of CAGR and expected to grow in the next 2-3 years. Small and medium segment account for 90% of the MSME advance by sheer size of the loan, but in terms of the number of borrowers, the micro segment contribute more. Okay. The competitive landscape, varies from segment to segment. You have a player like Bank of Baroda, which is there across all segments, right from micro to small to medium. And you have players, typically the fintechs, who operate in a low ticket size range. But there is a conundrum around MSME. There's the MSME conundrum says that there's too much of opacity in their operations, right? It's largely promoter-driven or proprietor-driven. There is a reluctance to embrace technology. There is a TREADS platform developed by the government, but hardly 15 to 20% of the MSMEs are actually have onboarded the TREADS. There is a relative absenteeism on the professionalism part. The books of accounts are still, managed by the third-party consultants because we have not learned the way a professional should actually manage like a large corporate. And business is also complicated. The problems in the receivables, of course, there is a huge problem in the receivables. So there is a conundrum around this, and therefore which impacts the credit assessment. As a banker, if I were to evaluate an MSME, it does take a toll because of these facts. So the turnaround time actually gets impaired because the due diligence is required, and with the deficit in the documentation, we actually land up in, in difficulty to assess the MSME borrower. And of course, the rating, which is an essential part today. Your pricing, rate of interest, everything is determined by the rating, the credit rating. The credit rating also gets adversely impacted, thus, giving less benefits to the borrower. So, what are the enablers for MSME? Essentially, credit and financial assistance, skill development and training. This is something which you have to do. You have to develop yourself. But the credit and financial assistance is something which the banks provide. Let me also share that Bank of Baroda is one of those banks, very few banks, which has got a extremely capable training and development team which train the MSMEs. It's also there in the agriculture space, but talking of MSMEs, we do have this facility in the bank where we actually train whole workshops for the MSMEs. Infrastructure support and technology upgradation, we do provide that help also. So these are the enablers which will help an MSME to grow, migrate from being an MSME to micro to small, small to medium, and then to a large corporate. Way ahead, if you see, we have to embrace technology because digital is the way forward. So please use the TREADS platform, timely realization of the book debts, that's very important, keeping a check on the delinquency. Financial literacy is very, very critical because that's a good alternate for your credit score, enhancing your credit score. Banks and FIs, if you see, there is a concept which is coming in the market as the co-lending, wherein the NBFCs, the typical NBFCs and the banks, they're joining hands to do co-lending. That's something which RBI and the government is pushing hard. So, and another big thing which is coming in the MSME space is the cash flow based lending. Bank of Baroda is one of the few public sector banks which has embarked upon the journey not to evaluate purely based on the collateral, because collateral is a scarce resource. Not every organization or not every entity will have collateral which would match up to the requirement of the banks. Hence, there are products in the bank wherein we have moved from the traditional collateral based lending to a cash flow based lending. So that helps because we do not require additional collateral for that. And that's something which is in vogue. The role of Bank of Baroda, if you see, is multifarious. It starts with a branch network. We have got a coveted 8,000 plus branches in the country. We do have the co-lending platform, which is one of the very few ones we have today in the industry. We have partnerships, strategic partnerships and tie-ups beyond co-lending. We do have partnerships with the OEMs, manufacturers, and we have specialized units which only deal with MSME lending. They do not do any other retail loans or any corporate loans or agriculture loans. They are purely dedicated for the MSME loans. We have four such units in Mumbai itself. We have a large MSME branch headed by a DGM. She's there with us today in this forum. So every zone, we have 18 zones across the country. Every zone has an MSME branch and SME loan factories. There are 85 units which only deal with the MSME loans. Our book size is 1 trillion as of now, and we intend growing it at the industry pace. So if you see what are the changes we brought in at Bank of Baroda, one, is in terms of the networking, sales capabilities, and credit processes for a holistic growth. One is the key shifts. If you see, we have added new centers for MSME. We are putting on the sales organization. We all know that normally public sector banks are largely viewed, or they are seen as people who are in the bank. There is no sales organization in the field. So we are developing that mechanism. We are developing a sales organization, putting on 200 plus relationship managers who will only handle MSME loans across the country. And Bombay, of course, would be one of them, where majority of the people will be positioned. A fast track lane for new to bank customers. We have developed a special swim lane for borrowers who are kind of coming to us for the first time and they want a speedy loan or any kind of redressal. There's a fast track lane wherein we process the loans in minimal time. We are also in the process of developing credit engine. A credit engine essentially would be a rule-based engine to do the credit assessment, so that it cuts short the long-drawn credit processes which normally any banks take. So 70% of the credit process or the assessment part will be taken care by the rule engine, which is system-driven. So that's the way which Bank of Baroda wants to proceed. Besides what Saurav, my friend, has said, cash management, there is a digital, I would say, revolution which is going on in Bank of Baroda. Bob Now, if you see, is something which our organization thinks that the bank will now completely, I would say, come in your hands, in your mobile. You have to do entire banking through either your mobile device or through your laptop. You need not physically go to the bank and do anything. That's the kind of, so we are not doing away with the brick and mortar branch, but we intend not increasing our branch network any further, because we believe that any additional loans, if we go 100% digital, what is required is just a smartphone or a smart device to kind of access to Bank of Baroda. So big initiative taken by the bank. I think you will see a new revolution in Bank of Baroda with respect to the MSME business. Not in terms of just the product lines. We are developing new product lines, but also an array of the service deliverables, which I think will take our bank to the newer heights and compete with the new generation bankers. Thank you so much for a patient hearing. Should you have any query, please drop by. There is a stall outside we have placed. Please drop by and we would love to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Namaste.